What if I told you that one of the most famous haunted house stories in history began not with a ghost, but with a shotgun? On a quiet street in Long Island, a single house became the epicenter of a national obsessionist story of murder, alleged demonic possession, and a best-selling book that forever blurred the line between fact and fiction. This is the true, complex story behind the Amityville Horror, a tale that still sharply divides believers and skeptics decades later. Our story starts on November 13, 1974, at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. In the dead of night, Ronald DeFeo Jr. methodically shot and killed 6 members of his family as they slept in their beds. His parents, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters all gone. This horrific, real-life crime transformed an ordinary suburban home into a site of grim notoriety. The murders are the undisputed, tragic core of the entire Amityville saga, and they set a dark stage for everything that was to come. For the next year, the house sat empty, a silent monument to the tragedy within its walls. Then, in December 1975, the Lutz family, George, Kathy, and their 3 children moved in, hoping for a fresh start in their dream home. They bought it for a bargain price. Fully aware of its dark history, they believed they could overcome the past. They were wrong. Just 28 days later, the Lutzes fled the house in terror, leaving all their belongings behind. What could drive a family to abandon everything they owned? According to them, it was a relentless series of terrifying paranormal events. They reported swarms of flies in the middle of winter, strange, sickening odors that would appear and vanish, and bone-chilling cold spots in rooms where the heat was blasting. Objects supposedly moved on their own. George Lutz claimed he was woken every morning at 3:15 a.m., the estimated time of the DeFeo murders. Kathy said she levitated off her bed. Their youngest daughter, Missy, developed an imaginary friend named Jody, a demonic, pig-like creature with glowing red eyes that she said lived in the house. The family reported seeing green slime oozing from the walls and a crucifix on the wall turning upside down. George's personality allegedly began to change, becoming angry and withdrawn. Nearing Ronald DeFeo Jr. the final night was the breaking point. Though the details have always been vague, the Lutzes described it as the culmination of the terror, an ordeal so frightening that they grabbed only what they were wearing and ran for their lives, never to return. Their dramatic escape and chilling account became the foundation for Jay Anson's 1977 book, The Amityville Horror. The book was marketed as a true story, a documented haunting, and it absolutely exploded. It became a cultural phenomenon, a runaway bestseller that terrified millions of readers. Suddenly, 112 Ocean Avenue wasn't just the site of a mass murder. It was America's most haunted house. The book's success kicked off a media frenzy. The Lutzes appeared on talk shows, their story captivating a nation hungry for supernatural tales. And of course, Hollywood came knocking. The 1979 film adaptation was a box office smash, cementing the iconic image of the house with its eye-like windows in the public consciousness. This movie spawned a massive franchise that continues to this day, with dozens of sequels, prequels, and spin-offs that have stretched the original story into a full-blown mythology. But as the story grew, so did the scrutiny. Almost immediately, people began to question the Lutzes' claims. Journalists, investigators, and skeptics started digging, and they found some serious inconsistencies. For starters, Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s own lawyer, William Weber, came forward with a bombshell claim. He said that he and the Lutzes had created this horror story over many bottles of wine. According to Weber, the plan was to fabricate a sensational tale to help with a potential new trial for DeFeo and to secure a lucrative book and movie deal for the Lutzes, who were facing financial difficulties. The Lutzes, of course, vehemently denied this and sued Weber for his comments. They always maintained that their experience was 100% real, but the doubts kept piling up. For example, the Lutzes claimed the house had a red room, a small, hidden space in the basement painted blood red that the family dog refused to go near. Later owners and investigators found no such room. The claims of physical damage to doors and locks were contradicted by the people who entered the house right after the Lutzes fled. Researchers pointed out that many of the most dramatic events described in the book, like the green slime and levitation, were only added after the Lutzes supposedly began collaborating with author Jay Anson. Even the paranormal investigators who studied the house were divided. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous demonologists, visited the house and declared it to be genuinely haunted. They conducted a seance and took one of the most famous photos in paranormal history on eMeet that appears to show a ghostly boy peeking out from a doorway. Believers say this is the spirit of one of the murdered DeFeo children. Skeptics have argued the photo is likely one of the living investigators, Paul Bartz, caught in a long exposure. Other paranormal researchers who visited the house found absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. So, who do you believe? On one side, you have a family that's stuck to their story for decades, even under intense public pressure and ridicule. They passed lie detector tests, though the validity of those tests is debatable. They insisted they were victims of a terrifying supernatural force and that they were exploited by people trying to profit from their trauma. On the other side, you have a mountain of contradictions, a lawyer claiming the whole thing was a hoax, and the simple fact that no other family who has lived in the house since sand there have been several has ever reported any paranormal activity whatsoever. The house itself has had its address changed and its famous eye-like windows remodeled to discourage tourists. It remains a private residence, its new owners continually plagued by morbid curiosity seekers. So why, after all these years, does the Amityville story still hold such power over us? Its genius lies in its unique combination of a verifiable, horrific crime and a dramatic supernatural claim. The DeFeo murders are real. They happened. That fact lends an eerie shred of credibility to the haunting that supposedly followed. It allows us to confront both the real-world horror of human evil and the spine-chilling possibility of the unknown. The case is also a masterclass in how media can shape public perception. Sensational reporting, a true story book, and a blockbuster movie franchise created a narrative so powerful that it became fact in the minds of millions. The lines between eyewitness testimony, creative storytelling, and outright fabrication became hopelessly blurred. The Amityville Horror is no longer just a story about a house. It's a cultural myth. It's a landmark case study in belief, skepticism, and the power of a good story. Whether you believe the Lutzes were tormented by demons or you think they were clever hoaxers who pulled off one of the greatest scams of the 20th century, one thing is certain. The events that unfolded at 112 Ocean Avenue changed how we think about haunted houses and the dark, fascinating stories we tell about them. What do you think? Was it a terrifying haunting or a brilliant hoax? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories that explore the line between fact and fiction. See you next time.